That gasket has fit a lot better, and it's a lot easier to fit in there than the previous gasket. And this one I think was like $3 or $5 cheaper. Here's what I've got so far. In the last episode, or a couple back, I did this pillar. Welcome to Time by the Tent, another weekend here up at the land. Appreciate you coming along and tuning in, getting the fire going. Gonna have a venison burger for lunch and green beans. Have already put up our flag from emflag.com. Brought the items, light amount of items this week up from the car. Got the bow, battery stations, water. Another chair for the deer blind that I built 2 episodes ago. So got that going. Gonna head out to the tree stand later this evening. It's supposed to be 80 degrees today. 54 tonight and 66 tomorrow. However, it is 72 now, overcast with a possibility of a slight chance of rain this afternoon. So tonight, obviously, there's a front or something moving through. I don't know. I haven't dove too far into it. Going from 80 for a high down to 66 for a high. That may increase some of the deer activity. This week we have had no activity on the cameras. However, the one camera is in an area where, depending on the conditions of the environment, we receive updates and sometimes we don't. So there may be deer passing around that camera and we're just not getting photographs of it. So I got a few odd and end jobs here to do around the camp. I've received the other big game hanger that will go on that side. I need to replace the gasket on the wood stove. It is starting to come apart. We replaced it this spring. I got a different brand and a different adhesive. So I'll get that going and get that done before I go out to the stand. A couple of crows there. And then I'll go to the stand. It gets dark, I think. I don't know specifically the time ending, but about 7:25-ish tonight, I'll head to the stand about 5 o'clock. The central stand where I was last week on opening day. A lot less humid than it was last weekend, so that's good. So anyway, I'm going to get the fire going here as it is going, and I'll get lunch cooking. Got the venison burger done. Have barbecue sauce or steak sauce, cheese, and relish. And then cooking green beans. How do you cook your green beans at camp? Do you pour them out of the can and put them in a pot? Or do you do like I'm doing here, just cut the top off and warm them up? Let me know. I'm sure this is like the most unhealthy thing in the world to do, cook them in the can, but whatever the case is. So I'm going to replace the gasket on the wood stove. Did it this spring, but didn't do it the way it should have been done. This spring took it home when we put the tent up, because this had all fell off over the winter in storage. And then you're supposed to press it in and put it in against it, lock it in, let it conform, and didn't have that, so I modified it and did it with some bricks and some wood pieces and some weight. So it made it decent, and it worked in the spring and a few times this summer, but I got to get it fixed here so we actually have a proper seal. So you just clean it up And I'm going to use an alcohol wipe too to really get a good seal. And then I'll show you what I'm using. We was using Imperial stuff that looked like that. I still got quite a bit of adhesive there, but we're going to go with this here. The reviews are much better. Rootland. So we'll try this and see how that works. So just going to scrub it clean, wipe it down, and then follow the instructions on the back of the package. So I took that off the chimney pipe. I'm going to run the brush down in there. I have put the door back on the stove just to keep everything from getting all dirty. There is some creosote buildup in there. That should help. Oh. I'm going to try to leave the cap on because that's a pain to take on and off. There is buildup in there. Try to burn dry wood, but apparently not doing so good about this. Now, quite a lot of buildup there. Now I'm not going to do that. I'll wipe it with this. That'll be fine. Alright. Now what I've got here is, please, the proper 6-inch diameter chimney brush on a broom handle, and instead of buying the $9 wand, I just took fabric and wound around the threads and made the hole just a little bit bigger than what the threads were, because that's the drill bit that I had available, and then just cranked it on there and it works very well. Alright, so the requirement was to seal this up and then let it press in, which I have done, and just let it dry for an hour, and then I can start the fire and cure it tonight if I choose to, or I gotta do it within 30 days. That gasket has fit a lot better, and it's a lot easier to fit in there than the previous gasket. And this one I think was like $3 or $5 cheaper, something like that. So very happy so far with the application and installation of it. Well, I'm going to head out to the tree stand. 68 degrees, a few showers here and there, sprinkle here and there. Possible rain tonight, 54 I think for a low. So we'll go out and see if, with this weather change coming, if that's going to make things more active or what will happen. I'm going to take chair out and stage it in the woods, and then tomorrow I'll take it back to where the blind is at and put it over there. So, we shall see how this goes. It may not be 80 degrees like it was last week, but it sure still is humid once you get out and start walking in the woods, even just setting. So I'm up in the stand. Wind's blowing this way, so wait, hold on, let me see. I think it's coming this way, which is good because most times any deer deer ever come in, they've always come from this direction. It's blowing my scent that way. I'm excited to hunt in the morning when it's supposed to be 54. I'm up in the stand that I harvested all 3 deer last year out of. So we'll see what happens here. Still got about an hour left of daylight or legal hunting time. Clouds have moved in. There's some rain coming in, spotty. Getting awful dark. The wind has picked up. Have seen no activity. But it'll be dark about 15-20 minutes before legal hunting time is over. Got the wind swirling all over the place. It's going this way right now, and then goes that way. Supposed to have a chance of thunderstorms tonight. I would think there'd be more activity happening tomorrow, being cooler tonight, cooler tomorrow. But we'll see. I'm not surprised I haven't seen anything. But it went from dead quiet to really windy. There's a little more light than what the camera's picking up, but we're still about 30 minutes out from end of legal hunting time, and it's getting really hard for me to see besides what's right in front of me. I'm being tucked in the woods here, so I think, and with the rain, I mean, rain is fine, rain is good. That deer still move, but to identify anything is going to be even harder, so I think I'm going to have to call this, go to the camp, get supper going, and get prepared for in the morning when it's supposed to be nice and cool. Well, it's on and off raining right now, and it just was too dark, even though we still had 25 plus minutes Supposedly 7:42 was the end of hunting time, and 7:18 is what time it is, and it's pretty much dark. Pretty with the rain coming. Yeah, 7:08, and I need to add 4 minutes to where I'm at, so that's 7:12. Well, here, hold on, let's figure this out. And I'm looking at the hunting regulations for Wisconsin. I grew up in Illinois, where what it said on the paper, based on the time of year, you had to add or take away, figure out your own math. It was just sunset, sunrise, sunset, that was it. So this is 30 minutes before sunrise to 20 minutes after sunset for Zone A. If you're in the northern area, if hunting in other zones, add the specific minutes found on page 29, which is 4. So we can go a half hour after. So that would have been 4, which would have been 12 plus 10, so 7:22. So I was off on my math. So anyway, it's now end of legal hunting time in 2 minutes. But because of the way the rain is, and you can hear it, there was no way that I was going to see anything. And when it gets too dark to see, even if it's legal hunting time, I'm not sitting out there in the rain or in whatever it is. So that's important to have one of these. I have one of these at the house and here. One of these hunting, Illinois has them, Wisconsin has them. I'm assuming every state has them. So with this rain coming in, it's supposed to get cold tonight, or colder. Like I talked about, 56, and then a high tomorrow of 66, and today was coming in was 73 plus. So that's what it is for the hunting of today. Alright, so with that, I'm going to change, and I don't know if I want to start. I don't think I'm going to start the campfire. With the rain on, I'm just going to bring the table up to the door and throw a frying pan on there, heat some water for mashed potatoes, and I've got a few more of the smoked pork chops. I'll cook those right outside the door and not mess with the fire tonight. In the tent, 63, so I will start a fire as well tonight. So I have water boiling for mashed potatoes, which I'm not going to do the whole 2 cups, or the whole package, which I got to figure out where that bags went. And then I've got pork chops here. Yeah, that was the rest of the smoked pork chop I had a couple of weeks ago. Oh yeah, that looks like a lot, but there's a lot of bone in there. Alright. And then that's just the way it's going to be. Alright, never mind the mess on the table, that's a tomorrow project, but the smoked pork chops and instant mashed potatoes. This is the Walmart brand that I cut in half. I'll have the other half tomorrow. So those are not cigars. That's where we keep our drink sticks. So that's where I'm at now. I'll check in with you in a little bit. Kind of give you an update on what the plan is for in the morning. one of the things that I did was I made a picture, printed out a picture aerial shot of the land, and drew the trails and where the stands are at. So we have some. When I say I'm going to this stand or that stand, Holly knows about where that is, and the trails and so I have a visualization of what we're looking at. So that has been done. I'm going to document the hours that I've spent in the tree stand already. Last year it took about 72 hours for me to harvest 3 deer. So we'll see if that changes this year or is worse. So other than that, I will see you in the deer stand in the morning. Morning, happy first day of fall. 58 in the tent this morning. So I've been about 58 outside because I didn't have the stove going. Came out of the tent and it was just kind of a mist. And then got in the stand in the wind. There was a lot of water on the leaves from last night and from that mist. So I don't think it actually rained. It was just misting this morning. Which makes everything so, you can't hear anything It's almost 10 o'clock and I haven't seen nothing but 2 squirrels. So, I'm going to say the second weekend of bow season, not so successful. I'm going to head down. Got a chair I need to put in the deer blind I built a couple of weeks ago. And then had breakfast already and head back to the tent. And we'll go from there. This morning about 4 o'clock I got up and there was a deer snorting within within 50 to 80 yards of the tent. 4 or 5 times it snorted. I couldn't identify exactly where it was at because when you're in the tent it distorts the noise a little bit. But there's definitely a deer out here. At least this morning at 4 o'clock. So I brought that chair, sat it in there. That'd be a good little spot. Again, possibly a good deer blind. We'll see how it works. Back to camp and evaluate what our plans are for this afternoon, or late morning this afternoon before time to... Back at camp, about 60 degrees, 58, 60 degrees, really windy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the fire going, get lunch, get that done, eat, and then I got another DVD VHS tower because I've got a bunch of VHS hunting that I want to get off the floor. So I'll make one today, and that should get 8 off the floor. And then I'll go down and I'll find some more wood or logs for the tent winterization until we take the tent down for strength. If it does snow, I want to be prepared for that. Here's the other tower that I could use and make for VHS DVD, but this one is a much smaller diameter. So I think if I did go forward with making this one, it would only be 3 VHS and 1 DVD. I don't think I could squeeze 4 VHS out of that. I might be able to, but it'd be quite thin on the walls. But I'll get this one done, see how it turns out. And I have made them where I've been able to get 5 across. I don't think that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. That may be a 10, 5 on top, 5 on bottom. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to get the fire going and eat first, and then work on these few projects, as it's been mostly a early season hunting trip, which that's the time of year we are in now. Having the rest of the 4 cheese mashed potatoes, and then the Cajun style smoked sausage, pork, beef, and turkey. So Not going to get the fire going too much, just enough to get it warm. Okay, here are some of the components that is needed in order to winterize the tent more. Last episode we got part of it done. Some of this is going to be firewood or campfire wood. The plan is those two there are going to be split like those. We'll see how well that goes. And I'll start piecing it together in the tent, labeling it, and then I'll show you what I've got. Now, again, if you're not familiar with this, this was a concept in which I developed last year for our 10 by 12 Ozark Trail wall tent in order to support the main beam and then the side rafters or trusses, whatever you want to call them, when we had light snow. This will come down second week in December. But before then, based on last year, trail camera, security camera, over there, we had, and then after we took the tent down, we had snow. We took the tent down the Sunday before Thanksgiving. But due to the way the calendar falls this year in Wisconsin, firearm season is a week later than that. And then the muzzleloader season is a week after that. Based on the calendar, this is the latest that firearm season in Wisconsin could ever occur, and also the earliest that archery season could ever open based on the calendar. What I have found, the nice thing about Wisconsin is, it's always, I think it's the second, or it's right around the middle, it's always the middle of September when archery season opens up. And based on the pattern now, the last 2 years it's been Saturdays, and I think that's the way it is always. That is nice that they consider, hey, let's make sure it's always on a Saturday. Where I come from in Illinois, October 1st is archery season, and it doesn't matter if it's Monday morning, Sunday morning, or Wednesday. October 1st is October 1st, and that's when archery season opens. Firearm is always Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They break up. Anyway, that's the purpose of this, is holding the tent structure that the snow doesn't collapse it, so when I can return on a Friday afternoon, knock the snow off if there is remaining snow, and then proceed with that weekend's hunt. With the camera and the weather last year, it would get down to 15, snow 3 inches, and then the next day it'd be 55 and it'd all melt. So this is the purpose of what we're doing and why we're doing it. Long explanation, but this is why we're doing what we're doing. At some point there'll be a hard outbuilding here, or hard structure outbuilding, which will be turning into a cabin that we can come up year round, and we don't have to deal with this, and don't have to deal with frogs or mice or anything else that may be getting in the tent as it wouldn't in the cabin. Okay, so here's what I've got so far. In the last episode, or a couple back, I did this pillar, which is notched at the top, goes to the floor, and then I had a pillar for here, here, and then several videos back I did this framework and attached it to the frame, or the door frame, and kept attached it to the frame of the tent on both sides here. Did the framework on both sides, and then attached it with his 1x4 to keep them from separating, but still allowing me, if I want to close the tent here on the back side if it gets really cold and I only want to heat this side. So I brought this one back in, And then I tried to split this one, and it didn't split very well, but it did take some of the weight off of it. Notched it up there. And then the bed was going to be a problem because I've got to support that piece right there, this junction right there. So I did the front, or the back and the front here. So then I just ran a log, or a tiny, sturdy log there, braced it in here. This is not fastened at all, but there's no way that that's going to come apart. Over here, I will take the screw out in order to disassemble it and put it outside. There's a screw there, and then there's a screw going up here. That will stay. But this, it takes a lot of the weight out of it. I could bend that down about almost 3 inches earlier before I thought I would bend the frame. Now I'm only getting not even a ½ inch. So the frame, the center beam, is taken care of on the big tent. I still have 2 here to take care of. I got the front one outside. That one was done last time. I will get those 2 done today. And then the remaining part of it, this is for the rain, is take and have a post here that will go to the ground, and it'll be just friction fit to elevate the canvas or the tarp or whatever we want to call this, to get it off of this frame, because I can't really attach anything to this frame because it just wants to slide all over the place. And if I take the weight off of that and raise this up, that's going to take the weight off the frame, off the rafters. So a lot of work, yes, to prevent the tent from getting a snow load on it, assuming that a snow load is going to occur before we take the tent down the second week in December. However, for the foreseeable future, this is going to be our living quarters. This is what's going to be here at our campsite. And the front tent was like $500, and the back tent was, I think, $700, $800, something like that. I forget what it was, but there's $1,300 to $1,500, however you want to look at it, invested in that, and the contents inside of it. So I want to make sure that as long as we can come up here during hunting season, it will be safe. And courtesy and our neighbor over there, Northwoods Dream, Dan, he has come over at times and knocked the snow off earlier this year, and I don't want to feel like I don't want to have to burden him with that, or what is the word? Utilize that generosity unless I really need something, like, hey, somebody's on the property, can you go over there and figure out who it is, type of thing. So that's where we're at. I will get these other 2 put together, and I'll show you how that looks, and then the rest of these I'll put to the side and work on those on another Sunday afternoon when I get done with hunting, because that right there, what I've done last week and this week, is the 75% of the whole deal. So then I've got to mark them with tape and writing on the board what's what. I was going to use that piece and that piece. However, when I threw it down to cut it, it just cracked and snapped. So I went down and got another piece here. So this is what it looks like. Got it marked up there. So very secure. Notched it, and I can hang on it. I'll show you. So that'll work. Okay, so what I was speaking about, the smaller pieces, just pushes up on that and then just goes to the floor. Same way with that one up there. And it goes up there. And then I have one right here. It goes to the floor. So that's all the pieces I have brought up. That will be all that I will do in that. I will bring more pieces up. The center portion is completely done, so that's good. So I need safely, I think, 10 more smaller pieces, about 81 inches long is what I need. So that's easy to go down there and just boom, 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 bring them up. They're, only an inch in diameter. So that is done for now. Big steps there. All right, made another. This is for VHS. That'll hold 5 VHS on the top, 5 on the bottom, or if I was going to use DVDs, it'd be 10 and 10. 2 DVDs equate to the same size as 1 VHS. So, very happy with that. That'll get a few more off the floor. I've got room for 2 more towers of this size, but again, like I spoke about earlier, that one there, very small diameter, probably an inch plus, inch and a half smaller than this one. So I may have to find another tree. So I'm walking over here to Holly's little area, and I noticed all of this scratched up all through here, which would indicate that that is turkeys. Now the tent is 100 yards that way, straight in front of us there. So they've all been here eating bugs and whatever else they can get a hold of. Dug up all through there. So that's interesting. I do not have a fall turkey tag, which those are very difficult to hunt in the fall versus the spring. The tag's not difficult to obtain, it's just the to conclude the tent story, with all the supports and everything we're putting up in there, you may be asking, well, why don't you just leave the tent up if all that support is going to be in there for the snow? Due to the fact we've owned the property for 14 months. In those 14 months, we had a couple of light snows in October and November before the tent came down. And then in December, once the tent came down, there was like a 7-inch snow fall storm. And then January was the warmest month on record in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, almost no snow. February had, I think, 2 storms that accumulated about 8 to 12 inches, and then we came up in March to put the tent up, and then like 2.5 weeks later, they were projecting 22 inches of snow. Fortunately, we did not receive that up here. I think there was about an 8-inch snow, and the neighbor came over and knocked the snow off the tent. That's the reason why, because you can get 22, 25 inches of snow in a 24 to 36 hour period up here in the tent. Just even with that support wouldn't sustain it. And also us not being up here that frequently, it may introduce habitation for animals. So with that being said, appreciate you coming along with me for this weekend. Let's put second 2ND in the comments below, since it's the second week of bow season. We didn't do very good, but we've got to start somewhere. So until next time, I appreciate you watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you then.